Hey, what's up everyone? Morey Croson here, and we have a few different throw breakdowns that we're going to do for you today. I have a few different videos on YouTube. I really don't even know which videos that they are, where you could actually submit a breakdown through the actual link within the video. So over the last few months, we've been able to get a good amount of people that have sent in breakdowns of them running and them throwing and stuff like that. So I just thought I would go ahead and get a few of the actual throw breakdowns that have been sent over, and you do a little bit of a breakdown for you guys just to see some of the main things that we look at when we do the breakdown. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and click the like button down below, and if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out a lot. We're consistently putting out different content just like this to really help you in better understanding the biomechanics behind running and jumping and throwing and just the overall body. And we always have different programs that we're releasing for you to be able to better understand exactly what you can do from an athlete perspective to really better yourself into the future. So here we have Tom Brady here on the left and Novice Quarterback here on the right. And you know, the big thing that I like to do with these types of breakdowns is just get a comparison of, you know, what's going on from one side compared to the other. I think this guy does a really good job of being able to get the hips into the actual throw here, right? We can see that. But one of the things that he does that Tom Brady doesn't do is he really opens up that chest really early during the actual throw, so you can see how quickly he immediately kind of gets that foot down, opens up the hips great, but doesn't keep that front arm closed and the spine closed. Where you can see Tom Brady, he's going and opening up those hips, but then he keeps that upper body a little bit more closed, and then from there is able to come back through it. Also, a big thing that stands out to me is there's a difference between the stability within that left foot, right? So you can see as all the weight is getting transferred onto the left leg. There's a little bit of wiggling going on here, and he has cleats on as he's going through it as well, where you can see Tom Brady as he's going through and as the weight is coming onto the front leg, very, very stable within that front foot. Not too much wiggling at all going on there. Where you can see here as the whole thing's happening, there's a lot of side-to-side movement within the ankle that I think is impacting the throw. All right, so here's another example. We have Patrick Mahomes here on the left, and then we have Novice Quarterback here on the right, and we're just trying to get like a behind angle here on the left just to be able to get that comparison again. So, you know, you can see that, you know, one of the big differences that stands out to me is the stride, right? When you look at the stride length, you can see this guy, he's very, very quick in getting that foot down, doesn't have very much of a stride, where then we see Patrick Mahomes, who's known for actually having a pretty long stride. So you can see he takes a pretty good step as he's getting going. Then that allows him to get a lot of his weight shifting forward. So it seems like with the quarterback here on the right is that he's able to, you know, he pushes off that back leg pretty quickly, but because that step is so short, he doesn't really get very much of his momentum being able to go forward. He has to be very, very slow with his hips, very controlled with his hips in order to make this throw. So he's going to naturally end up using a lot more of his upper body, where we can see Patrick Mahomes, it really takes a step out. So now he could drive off that back leg, and because he could drive off that back leg, now he could use the whip and the rotation within his spine to really be able to easily put a good amount of force on the actual throw, where, you know, again, on the guy on the right, because he's not taking as big of a step, he doesn't get to drive off that back leg as much, right? Little bit of a drive, but not near as much as Patrick Mahomes. You can see Patrick Mahomes really kind of flings that leg off to the side, where, you know, he's coming off to the side and there's not very much of that motion that's happening within the back leg. And so now what's going to end up happening is that the arm ends up being a lot more of a factor when the quarterback on the right is throwing in comparison to Mahomes, who's really using a lot of his body in order to generate the force within the throw. Okay, so here I'm just going to use my own throw. So, you know, the big thing that stands out to me with this particular throw is, you know, you can see that initial load, and I think that initial load gets him into a pretty good position here. And then what happens is that, you know, there ends up being kind of like a short arm movement within the actual throw. So from here, you really want to be able to get that elbow up and drive that elbow up and through. You can see what he just does. He just kind of lifts that ball kind of straight up. So as you're lifting the ball, you want to be able to get that elbow coming up and through, as well as starting to get that wrist going, right? So you can see for me, I'm starting to get the wrist to turn a little bit and getting the elbow to start moving forward. So now here, as the elbow starts moving forward for him, he's a little bit late. He's really not getting very much of a push off from that back leg. Hasn't really created any rotation within the hips, where again, you can see me, I'm starting to rotate within the hips, starting to open up there, where here he's starting to be able to get the hips opened up. But now, you know, that elbow is really, really short in the overall movement of it. You want to be able to consistently get that elbow going up, as well as coming forward and through. So the fact that he stops for a little bit, lifts up the arm, really has an impact on the overall velocity and the actual movement that the shoulder is going to be able to go through to generate force. So now, you know, as the arm's coming up and through here, ends up really staying stuck in flexion within that arm. So once your elbow starts coming through, you want to get to a point where you're starting to extend within the arm, right? So you can see once my elbow gets out in front of my head, now my elbow starts to extend basically right away. Or you can see here, once the elbow gets out in front of the head, doesn't really go through very much of an extension at all, and just really tries to like push the ball forward rather than being able to use that extension within the arm. Right through here is where you want to be extending through that arm, because the extension happens, then internal rotation. So one of the first things that happens within the arm is extension. But you can see here, he's getting internal rotation first and then extending within the elbow, which is kind of throwing off the sequencing and the ability to generate as much power within the throw. There's a few things that I would say within this throw. So first thing, when you're going and you're hitching, you don't really want to cross over your feet at all. You want to keep your feet very wide. You want to have a good wide base when you're playing quarterback. I mean, that hitch works when you're playing baseball, but it really doesn't work for when you're playing quarterback. The next big thing is that when you actually are going through and stepping here, you want to be stepping towards your actual target, right? Wherever you're going to be throwing the ball to, you want to be stepping towards that position. You don't want to be, getting your weight going off to the side. So you can see here, the step is really far off to the side. So then the momentum ends up carrying yourself that way. And so the force here within the body and within the hips is going this way, but then the actual throw is going that way. So now you're ending up fighting yourself a little bit in the actual throw, where you can see like Drew Brees here, he's coming all the way through and gets all of his momentum going, down and through as he's throwing. The arm comes forward, towards the actual target, but the whole body is going in sync with each other all the way through the actual throw, which makes him very stable within that front leg, where you can see here, not really getting all your weight onto that front leg. First of all, has a lot of your body kind of shifting over the side, and then as you actually throw, you're like falling off to the right here and don't have that front foot down in the ground very stably, and are coming around in a similar way. The reason I brought up Drew Brees is because you guys both kind of come around with that throw with that back leg, but you can see the tremendous difference in where the body position is, where the stability of the front leg, and just where the overall momentum is going during the actual throw. So, there's a lot of things that can be worked on within this throw to be able to make it so you can really generate a lot more force into it. This is when you're basically using all arm and all wrist in order to throw the ball here, instead of being able to get the momentum to be able to shift your weight forward and then get your hips all the way through and your spine all the way through during the throw. So being able to see, Drew Brees should be able to help you better understanding what that should look like. Okay, so those are examples of how our throw breakdowns work, and I highly recommend you get one of those right now. I know there's a lot of people that are not able to, practice or get much overall coaching. And so even though the season's getting closer and closer, you really got to be able to hone in on your mechanics and make sure that those are all set up for the season, really be able to ensure that you're maximizing the efficiency within the throw, because being a quarterback is not only about being able to throw the ball far, but it's also being able to be consistent and be able to be very, very efficient in your overall movement patterns, and that helps with your accuracy and your ability to throw the ball further. So I hope you enjoyed the video here, and if you're interested in getting a breakdown, we have links down below. We also have a 7-day program trial that you could try out. Within our program, you also get access to these breakdowns. You get a lot of breakdowns for a very, very low price. So if you have any questions about that, go ahead and send us an email. We have links down below to be able to do that too. And as always, we appreciate you watching these videos, and we'll talk to you soon.